The governor of Kentucky is apologizing following some questionable statements he made in regard to teachers who protested the measly amount of money they get paid and the severe underfunding of their schools. Now, I want to show you what Governor Bevin had to say. This is what got him into a lot of trouble. Take a look.
The number, I saw a lot of people hanging out, shoes off, even early in the morning, hanging out, smoking, hanging out, leaving trash around, taking the day off. You know, here's what's crazy to me. You know how many hundreds of thousands of children today were left home alone? I guarantee you somewhere in Kentucky today, a child was sexually assaulted that was left at home because there was nobody there to watch them. I guarantee you somewhere today, a child was physically harmed or ingested poison because they were home alone, because a single parent didn't have any money to take care of them.
So his argument is that the one day that the teachers protested in Kentucky was dangerous because all these kids probably were left home alone. There's no one else to watch after them, so they got sexually assaulted or drank poison.
So does that happen every day that they have a break, like that they have a vacation, their parent-teacher conferences, the parents not home, people are constantly drinking poison and et cetera? Or could it be that Bevin doesn't like that teachers are finally asking for a raise after all these years of getting crushed by the system? And so he'd like to blame them for sexual assault of kids that they had nothing to do with at all, let alone the insanity of kids randomly poisoning themselves because their teachers are on strike.
He just, by the way, just made crazy things up. And I find it odd that his mind went there in the first place. Why did his mind go there? Why did your mind immediately think of kids being left home alone who then get sexually assaulted?
By who, by the way?
Yeah, I don't understand why his mind went there. So he got a lot of backlash over those statements, and he's been fighting against tax increases that would help to raise enough revenue to pay these teachers a decent salary and also help fund these schools. So,
but Anna, to be fair, but it would hurt his donors and all of his rich friends.
Right.
So that, you know, oh, you say tomato, I say tomato. I mean, a lot of people in Kentucky would like to help the teachers. On the other hand, there's rich donors to help.
By the way, a lot of people, including Republican politicians in the state of Kentucky. So for instance, lawmakers in Kentucky increased taxes. They passed a bill that would increase taxes and raise $480 million for these schools. And Bevin didn't like it, so he vetoed it, right? Now, the way that the taxes or tax increase would work is it would specifically focus on raising cigarette taxes by 50 cents, and then it would increase sales tax for certain services. So if you're doing home improvement, for instance, the sales tax involving home improvement would go up to 6%. So again, they would raise $480 million and they would help fund the schools that way. But Bevin didn't like it, so he vetoed it. Republican lawmakers overrode his veto because they feel strongly about this, and I actually give them a lot of credit for that. And he got very salty after they overrode his veto. He did not like that. He said that this was a sloppy way of raising the money and that it's not transparent enough.
Okay, so I just got to jump in with a couple of things there. So look, the taxes that they raised are a little bit regressive, so I don't love that, and it's easy to raise the cigarette taxes, et cetera. But would I take that so that we can get decent pay raises? Just a little bit of pay raises. Not like teachers in Kentucky get rich off of this, right? Yes, I would definitely take that. But the reason that Bevin would care about it is because some of those industries that are affected, like the tobacco industry, particularly strong in places like Kentucky. That's why he cares and calls it sloppy. In which case, then we say, all right, Bevin, would you like to raise taxes in a different way, right? Do you have a proposal to raise maybe the teacher salaries by even more, by doing a non-regressive tax, that one that just hits corporations or people, you know, or people in the higher end of the brackets? No, he would not like that. So it's an excuse to not do it and not to back the teachers.
Of course, he doesn't care. Now, he has apologized for his previous statements. Let's take a look at that.
On Friday evening, I made some comments about the unintended consequences of schools being shut down, some with just a matter of hours of notice, less than 24. And the result that can come from that, my concern for children who are left vulnerable as a result of that. One of the other things that's clear about unintended consequences is sometimes the words that people say, the way in which they say it, or just the misunderstanding that comes from that also can have unintended consequences. And I think that is what happened from the very things that I said. The responsibility for such things falls on the person doing the speaking. In this case, that was me. And so for those of you who understood what I'm saying, thank you. I appreciate that you do. But clearly, a tremendous number of people did not fully appreciate what it was that I was communicating or what it was that I was trying to say. And I hurt a lot of people. Many people have been confused or hurt or just misunderstand what it was that I was trying to communicate. That's my responsibility. It truly is. And I apologize for those who have been hurt by the things that were said. Was not my intent whatsoever.
It wasn't my intent to hurt your feelings. I was just saying that since you're protesting to maybe make a little more money, other kids who are left home alone might be sexually molested, or they might drink poison and maybe die, and it might be your fault. But don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's your fault. Anyway.
That was one of the worst apologies I've ever seen. So let's just be clear first of all on why he's apologizing. He's a right-wing Republican. They don't like to apologize no matter how wrong they are. It's only because the Republican-led legislature censured him. And people like Regina Huff, who's a Republican legislator in Kentucky, basically called him a coward. And so, you know why? Because real people in Kentucky, sure, they might get swayed by the social issues and vote Republican, and now they're pro-life, et cetera. They love guns, whatever it is, right? There's a host of issues that leads them to the Republican Party. But they don't hate teachers, and they don't want their kids to go to terrible schools. Like, there's only so much you can get them to work against their own self-interest. If they can see with their own eyes, we're like, but that's my kid, and I can see he's not getting an education, and that's Miss Robinson, and I know her, and she's not a bad person, she's my kid's teacher. And now you're telling me she's responsible for sexual molestation? What are you talking about? Right? So they can see it with their own eyes. So he was in a world of trouble. That's why all of a sudden he goes to apologize, but he can't get himself to do it. So he's like, if other people did not fully appreciate my comments, that's not an apology.
Yeah.
That's not. If you misunderstood my comments, and no, we didn't misunderstand your comments. Your comments were incredibly clear. Right? No. Then at least have the decency to say, hey, listen, I shouldn't have said those things because it left you with the impression that it's the teacher's fault. And by the way, it's not remotely true. There was not a rash of kid poisonings on that day, right? But he can't get himself to ever admit the reality or the truth. So he has to basically, in his so-called apology, blame you for misunderstanding his comments. There was no misunderstanding at all. They were crystal clear. If you like this video, bless your heart. We got a lot more where that came from. We do a full show every day, Monday through Friday. Come enjoy it ad-free by becoming a member, tytnetwork.com/join.